Hi, this is Brendan from Watto Training, and in this video tutorial we look at video evidence requirements for return to industry and upgrading instructors enrolled with Watto Training RTO 40791 for the qualification TLI41218. TLI41218 is the certificate for in transport and logistics, road transport, car driving instruction. There are 12 units of competency that make up the TLI 41218. For the upgrade or return to industry instructor pathway, we specifically look at gathering evidence for the units that are highlighted in yellow. This pathway relates to upgrading certificate instructors and or return to industry instructors with the following qualifications: TLI 41217 certificate holders, TLI 41210 certificate holders, TLI 41216 certificate holders. Applicants need to present their certificate as well as compile an RPL kit to gain this pathway, as well as complete the gap assignments. TMR, that's Transport Main Roads in Queensland, currently recognises the following certificates for driver trainer accreditation: TLI 41216 and TLI 41218. An instructor may have an older certificate, but if they do not let their accreditation lapse, they can still roll over the old qualification without requiring a certificate upgrade. Introduction. Source of this information is from the ASCOR website, and I've noted that on the bottom of each slide that's relevant. To inform a judgment about whether a learner, now here we're talking about a trainee instructor rather than a learner driver, has achieved competency, a registered training organisation, RTO, must gather a range of evidence of the learner's competence. This evidence is gathered from a variety of sources in accordance with the RTO's strategies for training and assessment. The evidence is then assessed to determine whether an individual can perform to the standard expected in the workplace, as expressed in the relevant endorsed unit of competency or module. Assessment of evidence and judgment about competency must be undertaken by a person who meets the specific requirements for an assessor in the standards for registered training organisations RTOs 2015. I addressed that in other tutorials that I've made. In some cases, an assessor cannot directly gather all the required evidence that supports a competency judgment. In these cases, the evidence may be gathered or reported by other people. This type of evidence is categorized as supplementary evidence. Evidence is information which, when matched against a unit of competency or module, provides proof of competency. Evidence can take many forms and be gathered from a number of sources. Evidence can be categorized as direct, indirect, or supplementary. Direct evidence is evidence that can be observed or witnessed by the assessor. This could include observation of workplace performance, oral questioning, demonstration, and challenge test. Indirect evidence is evidence of a candidate's work that can be reviewed or examined by the assessor. This could include finished products, written assignments or tests, a portfolio of previous work performed. Supplementary evidence is additional evidence presented to assessors to support a candidate's claim of competence. This could include reports from supervisors, colleagues and/or clients, testimonials from employers, work diaries, evidence of training. Is there a hierarchy of evidence? It is important to understand that when it comes to assessment, there is no hierarchy of evidence. Source: Department of Education, Training and Youth Affairs, 2001, page 41. While training packages and accredited courses describe the outcomes of assessment and provide advice about the scope and context for assessment, neither the standards for RTOs 2015 nor training product guidelines prescribe exactly what type of evidence or how much evidence must be collected. Rules of evidence. Rather, the RTO must reach an appropriate balance and ensure that overall the evidence collected meets the rules of evidence. This includes validity, sufficiency, currency, and authenticity. Let's take a look at each of those a little bit closer. Validity. The evidence presented demonstrates the learner has the skills, knowledge, and attributes as described in the module or unit of competency and associated assessment requirements. Sufficiency. The quality, quantity, and relevance of evidence presented enables a judgment to be made of a learner's competence. Currency. The evidence presented is from either the present or the very recent past. Authenticity. The evidence presented for assessment is the learner's own work. Quality of all evidence collected. It is the quality of all evidence collected, including any supplementary evidence collected by another party, that is important to making a sound judgment about competence, rather than the quantity, type, and form of evidence where it was collected or who collected it. When and why might an assessor use other parties to collect evidence? Involving another party in the collection of evidence allows assessors to gather authentic and valid evidence in difficult circumstances in a cost-effective way. It is common to use another party for evidence gathering in cases where workplace evidence is required, but where it is not possible for the assessor to directly observe the learner at work. Examples. For example, in cases where the presence of an observer may compromise workplace safety, or where work activities involve issues of patient confidentiality and privacy. The use of other people in collecting evidence is also a valuable strategy for collecting evidence of everyday performance rather than performance carried out as part of the formal assessment process. Outline of video evidence required. There are two parts to collecting the video evidence, Part A and Part B. Part A, candidate in driver's seat. 1.0, pre-drive checks, external under the bonnet. 2.0, commentary drive. This includes operational skills, hazard recognition and decision-making skills, specific driving situations and maneuvers. Part B, the candidate in the instructor's seat with a learner in the driver's seat. 3, training skills. 3.1, vehicle operation skills. 3.2, hazard recognition and decision-making skills. Let's have a look at Part A from the driver's seat a little bit closer. So when we talk about pre-drive check, we're talking about 5 minutes worth of video there, and we've got an outline of what should be covered. First of all, exterior vehicle checks, tyres, general damage, windscreen, wiper blades. 1.2, under the bonnet, basic level, engine oil, transmission fluid, coolant, windshield wiper fluid, brake fluid, power steering fluid. It varies from car to car what you can access. 1.3, mirror setup, blind spots and shoulder checks. 1.4, hazard lights, dip, locate, demonstrate and function. 1.5, where the indicators are and how they function. 1.6, washers and wipers. 1.7, demister, front, rear, and air conditioning. 1.8, hazard lights. 1.9, seat adjustment. 110, horn. The order is not specific. It does not have to specifically be in that order. It just has to be logically presented. Part 2, commentary drive, applicant as driver. I've just given a brief outline of what a commentary drive is. There's a lot of demos of me doing commentary drives on my YouTube channel, Road Training, and I will keep releasing more demonstrations of all of these tasks for people to reference as a guide. The applicant should conduct a commentary drive whilst driving the vehicle, with the video recording their performance. Commentary driving is simply giving a verbal running commentary whilst driving. The verbal commentary includes what you see, what you are planning, and what you are thinking. Commentary drive should involve, if possible, the trainee addressing the following. A lot of this comes more naturally than what people think. Sometimes people get overwhelmed by these lists. But, for example, if you're doing a commentary drive and it starts raining, you'll be then making a note that it's now raining and I'm putting the wipers on. So again, you're describing change in the environment and your response. If you're doing manual instruction, your clutch, you don't have to specifically demonstrate clutch coasting and stalling, but clutch control, accelerator control, gear changing technique, steering control, and you might want to do that around a few corners or bends or in and out of a car park, for example, during a maneuver. Braking techniques as you're pulling up at the traffic lights, stop signs, give way signs, slowing down for roundabouts, road position as well. You may come to a situation where you have a bicycle rider up ahead and need to alter your road position, cornering positions for left and right turns, and bends as well. 2.2 is your hazard recognition and decision-making skills. Now, these should all be familiar to instructors because this is exactly what's on the QSafe form. So there's no surprises here. So number 1, observation and scanning techniques. I put a high emphasis on that one. So, just scanning up ahead and observing the flow of the traffic. Shoulder checks for all lane changes, leaving the curb, maneuvers, etc. Mirror checks, signaling with your indicators. Identifying and managing traffic hazards, e.g. roadworks, school zones. Judgment, so we're looking here on demonstration explanation of give way, e.g. roundabouts, T-sections, crossroads. Managing your safety margins, space to the front, space to the sides. Progress, driving to the conditions. Signs, e.g. managing stop signs and give way signs. Signals, e.g. managing traffic lights. Markings, e.g. painted arrows on the road. And then finally speed. There's non-negotiable in the QSafe driving test, so make it clear on the video that you are managing your speed effectively by identifying speed signs and also scanning down on your speedo to reflect what speed you are doing. 2.3, when we talk about specific driving situations, and that is a QSafe term, we're looking at lane driving, which includes one-way streets, marked, unmarked, wider, narrower, curves and bends, high-speed merge and low-speed merge. Now don't stress if you can't get all of those. If you get a range of situations, that's all we're looking for. So don't stress. Sometimes people feel like they've got to get every single dot point. I am aware that some towns and cities, well, not so much cities, but some smaller towns that people live in, they might only have one set of traffic lights. Well, that's the way it is. It's okay, you don't need to stress over that. 2.3.2, intersections. We're talking roundabouts, a combination turn, a staggered intersection. See other YouTube tutorials from me to explain what those are if you don't know. One-way intersection, uncontrolled intersection, stop, give way, etc. Directional markers and signs. So if you go to any built-up area, you'll get plenty of that, plenty of left and right turns. Some merging, high speed, low speed. Look, if you can't get to a 100 zone, at least get to a 70 zone. Traffic density, high density, low density. Again, if you're in a remote or regional area, it might not be a lot of density, but just localize your instruction and show us what you've got and what you can do. Crossings, pedestrian, children's, and level crossing. I am aware again that there are some areas where they're not a railway line. Do not fret. If you can't do it, don't stress. Just give me some situations where you've got to manage some crossings. Even if school's not on or there's no one on the pedestrian crossing, demonstrate your ability to manage it safely and clearly. Go into instructor mode. If you've been an instructor before, you'll know that this is something that's a high priority. We want to keep pedestrians safe. 2.4, maneuvers. The applicant should demonstrate and explain the key instructions for the maneuvers below as if to a learner with the video recording their performance. So you can demonstrate and explain this while you're doing it. Hill start, gear changing if you're doing the automatic only. If you're doing manual, I don't mind if you leave that out. 2.4.3, reversing the straight line. 2.4.4, turnaround maneuver. Well, there's an error there. That should say 3-point turn. Forgive me for that. 2.4.5, reverse park. And 2.4.6, U-turn. Here's a diagram of all the different U-turns that they currently do at transport. Just give me one of those and do it well, describe it, demo it. Part B is getting you in the instructor's seat. And it says here for Part B of the video evidence, the training instructor needs to demonstrate their training delivery skills with a driver. It doesn't specifically have to be an actual learner, but regardless of whether the driver is a learner or experienced, the training instructor needs to demonstrate their instructional skills either way. So just find someone who will let you instruct them, and they don't have to drive badly either. That's another thing people sort of think. Just get in and get them scanning up ahead, checking their mirrors, checking their speed, checking their road position, identifying what they're seeing. Show that you can actually instruct. That's what the video evidence is requiring from you. Number 3, demonstrate your training skills. So there's the operational skills. Again, same list as earlier that you were demonstrating, explaining as a driver. Now you're on the left side promoting that. And your hazard recognition and decision-making skills. Observation, scanning, shoulder checks, mirrors, signaling, etc. Now, trainees usually do 3.1 and 3.2 at the same time as situations present. And try, again, to cover a range of driving situations for Part B and a variety of speed zones. Also try and include as many specific situations as per the list. Now, when you've seen my YouTube videos, you can go to JB Hi-Fi or one of the tech stores and get very cheaply a suction to hold your phone on if you're using a phone. Some people use a GoPro. Whatever it is that you choose to do, we really want to see that you can drive well and hear what you've got to say as a trainer. And secondly, having the video, some of you will use cameras which can flip between the road and you. That's great, but I'm more interested in you than what's on the road up ahead for this specific evidence. Now, just to be clear, this isn't the only evidence we collect, but it is evidence that we are collecting, and we've done so in the past. And generally what we collect is very impressive. And we're not talking about Steven Spielberg here. We're talking about the quality of the driving and the instruction. That's really what we want to focus on. So don't fret and don't get all embarrassed and everything. We're not going to be posting your videos onto YouTube. This, we respect your privacy and confidentiality. So this comes to me, and I will keep it for audit purposes as well. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact me via the Watto Training website. Thank you for tuning into this tutorial. Good luck, and don't let fear stop you from choosing this pathway if it's the only option for you, because, as I say, once people get into it and overcome some of the technical barriers, it can be a really positive thing. This is Brendan from Watto Training, wishing you all the best, safe driving and safe instruction.